Hey guys, it's attorney Michael Goldstein with the Legal Marketing Pros podcast. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what you can do to help your law firm get found when people are searching for a specific type of legal practice near them. So, for example, if I was a Chapter 7 bankruptcy attorney, which frankly I was for the better part of 20 years, and I want to get found, I would want to know that if someone's searching for debt relief near me, bankruptcy attorney near me, bankruptcy lawyer near me, Chapter 7, Chapter 13 bankruptcy lawyer near me, that I'm going to come up on that Google map because Google Maps are so important. So, what I'd like to do today is really share with you some of the best ways to optimize your Google My Business posting or your Google My Business listing, excuse me, to come up on the maps. And we're going to do that right after this. So, like I said, this is we're going to go over the guide that works for 2021, and it's important to note that because a lot of people they have been working with a search engine marketing company for a few years, or they actually got themselves set up a few years back, and what was working in 2017 and 2018, it's just not going to work anymore. In fact, I've been doing SEO, I've been doing search engine optimization work for the better part of 20 years as well. And I can tell you that if you were to partake in some of the practices that we were using back in 2002, in 2001, you probably get yourself banned from Facebook. So let's talk a little bit about how do you get your law firm ranked on the map right now. So this is just a sample of if I was in if I was in Maryland and I would type in Chapter 13 lawyer, the Phillips Law Office is one of our clients, is the number one source on the Google My Business listings for Chapter 13 attorney. Why is that? Well, there are certain things that we have done for them, as well as these other two. The Maryland Low Cost Bankruptcy Center and Brett Weiss attorney. Or down in the Greenville, Maryland area. So these all are now interestingly very close to the courthouse. So I should point out that the courthouse is right here. So all of these folks here are showing up very close to the courthouse. That's certainly one of the things that's important. But let's just talk about why it's important. So there's been a ton of studies that have been done over the years, and the studies show the statistics that if you show up in the Google My Business listings on the Google Map, the local 3-pack, whatever you want to call it, you're going to get traffic to your site, and then it becomes an issue of, can you convert that? So to start off with, the average listing gets 59 actions a month on Google. Now, let's be really clear about that. When we say the average listing, we're talking about if you come up number 1, number 2, or number 3, you are likely to receive on average 59 actions. And those actions could be anything from a website visit. It could be someone who calls you directly from their mobile search. It could be somebody who requests directions to your office. It could be somebody who's looking at photos, looking at your Google My Business posts, could be looking at questions and answers. So there's a lot of different things, but the statistics show for the most part that of those actions, 56% of them are actually going to click through to a landing page, and generally, the way that a lot of people set it up, it's to their homepage. Now, it's really important to note that your homepage is really not the place you want to send people. You want to send people, especially if they're coming from Google My Business, to a page that's about the primary service that you offer, because in all likelihood, they're looking for that service. They don't want to know, what about your high level marketing. They don't want to see the big pictures in your bio and all that. It's great. As a fellow attorney, I understand that it's important, and branding is obviously critical, and talking about your successes is very important. But at the end of the day, this is about what is the consumer looking for, because you're only going to get one chance to make that first impression, and they're looking for someone who can provide a slip and fall attorney. They're looking for someone who can help, with mail, family law, divorce issues, whatever it might be. They're looking for someone to stop a foreclosure. In my case, that's what it used to be, at least. So those are some of the things that you really want to look at. Now, 24% of the folks are going to actually hit that call now button. So if you're on a mobile device and you're searching, you actually can have the call now feature built right into the Google My Business listing, and someone can contact you right away. Now, this is why it's really important that you have someone who can answer the phone 24/7. A lot of our clients, when we got involved with them, they would say, "Well, yeah, I have a secretary, I have an admin, I have someone who answers the phone." That's great, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever you might be. But a lot of people, they're looking for somebody, and they're looking for it when they're worrying about a situation. When do most people worry? Typically in the middle of the night. Now, yes, there are some of you who are certainly in the emergency legal field, more, in the criminal defense area, in the family law area, where unfortunately things do happen at all hours of the night. And some of you even have your calls forwarded to your cell phone. Gosh, I remember when I used to do that. Obviously it's not the least stressful environment, but at the very least, you should have an answering service that is specific, and with a trackable number, so that you know when those calls are coming from your Google My Business versus maybe a Google ad, a Facebook ad, just your organic search, some type of print ad. It's really important to track that as well. And now, about 20% of the actions actually are people who want to come right to the office. Now, in the legal field, obviously, we don't typically take walk-ins, right? But if you have an assistant, if you have a secretary who, someone walks in, they can schedule somebody. Oftentimes, directions are something more of in the retail space, and these statistics are across the board. They're not specific for the legal industry or even the professional services industry, but it is important to note that the directions are going to be there. And if you have an office, that certainly is, it's an added benefit, because it's sending additional signals to Google. And if you don't have an office, you're probably not going to get listed on the Google My Business. But what you might want to do is look at maybe setting up like a Regis, a shared office space, something like that, just so Google believes that you are there. Now, the other piece of this is, where do you rank when somebody is looking for a service, and they're in an area. Now, this is a map of the Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, South Carolina area, and it shows one of our clients. Who actually works in they work with home remodeling services, believe it or not. And what this shows you is, if I was standing in any of these particulars, if I was standing in Georgetown, in Savannah, in Island of Hope, where would my listing show up? So those are awfully important. And just taking a look here at this is kind of a sample of what one of our clients had in terms of their interactions with Google My Business over a 90-day period. And you can see, there's a ton of people who are searching for a service rather than for a name. You can also see that, even when you are showing up on Google My Business, you're also going to show up in the organics, and vice versa. And then really important, I think, is you can see, the amount of calls, the amount of requests for directions and visits to the website really do come into play. So even if your website is lackluster, if you optimize your Google My Business profile in and of itself, even, if it might take you 90 days to build out a really, properly optimized site, you can still go after the people. And honestly, if you're in the local 3-pack, if you can get yourself in that top 3 for near me searches for, like I said, slip and fall attorney near me, Greenbelt, Maryland, Chapter 13 bankruptcy attorney, whatever it might be, you're going to get interactions, and people are going to reach out to you without ever even going to your site. So the question that we really want to ask is, what really moves the needle for search near me? What move, or even better, the example I showed you was if somebody was in the Greenbelt, Maryland area and they had typed in Chapter 13 attorney. A lot of people will just do, show me personal injury lawyer, just show me lawyer near me. And those are the toughest because, if there isn't a qualifying specialty with it, obviously you're competing with everybody under the sun. And we can do that. I would tell you though that the odds are you don't want to go after that market, and that's not just for the legal field. If I was, in the home improvement services, I'm not a plumber, an electrician, a kitchen remodeler, a flooring guy all at the same time. I'm only one of those, and I don't want to go after the main thing. If I'm a tax specialist, I don't want to be found for bookkeeping services, things like that. So there's a couple of things that we really look at. And the first is we want to set up our Google My Business listing appropriately. And the most important part of that, other than claiming your actual Google My Business listing, and there's a process through that where you basically fill out the basic information, a postcard's mailed to you, you get the postcard, you log into your Google account, you put in the PIN number and you claim your account so that you can actually make changes. But you want to add photos, you want to upload those through what's called Google Posts. You want to post at least 6 times a month. And why do you want to post that? Is because you're sending signals to Google that you are active. And more importantly, you can actually send signals to different blog articles that you write or different service area pages that you have. You want to respond to reviews. One of the biggest, probably the biggest thing that moves the needle, especially in the legal field, is reviews. The more reviews you have, the better. And when you have a review, you've got to respond to it, even if it's a good review. A lot of people will respond when there's a bad review. This lawyer, he did a horrible job. He wasn't prepared, whatever it might be. There's always someone who's upset, right? And you want to respond to those, of course. And based on what, your state board, your state bar allows you to say, of course. But when you get good reviews, thank you. It was a pleasure working with you. Something as simple as that works wonders. And another thing is questions and answers. So this is one of those areas where 90% of your competitors are not putting FAQs, questions and answers. There are frequently asked questions all the time. And it could be something as simple as, do you take credit card payments? Do you offer payment plans? It could be something as specific as, will you be able to get my car back after it's repossessed? It really depends on your specialty. But if you add in 3 to 5 question and answers, and then, you wait a couple days for those to be posted, you'll get a notification in your Google account that a question is, you go back and you answer it, you are giving a lot of additional signals, and it's going to create additional authority for you in the eyes of Google. So those are some of the things that you can do on site. Now, off site, there are really critical things that will absolutely help increase your ranking, and they will absolutely move that needle forward for you. And the number one piece of that is that you want to build citations and you want to build links on niche directories with consistent name, address, and phone number. So that is really, really important. So when we say we want to claim niche citations across the web, we're talking about Avo, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about Twitter and Instagram and all the different social profiles, as well as directories like Merchant Circle, like Yellow Pages and places like that. And you want to make sure that your name is the same everywhere. So if you go by, the law office of Joe Smith, it better be the law office of Joe Smith everywhere. Not going to be Attorney Smith some places, Joe Smith Esquire, Attorney Joe Smith, the law offices of Attorney Joe Smith. Pick one and stick with it and make sure that it's the same everywhere. One of the first things that we always do for our clients is that we always do an NAP, name, address, phone audit to make sure that the name and the phone and the address are the same across the board. Now, phone numbers are really interesting because a lot of people have switched to using their cell phones. A lot of solo practitioners I know, they actually have their office phone forwarded to their cell phone, and sometimes the cell phone is out there. So you want to be careful about that. You want to make sure if you are using your cell phone, have a main number and just have it forward. Same thing with address. A lot of folks move around offices. A lot of folks have satellite offices near the courthouse they might practice in. Make sure you pick one address and stick with it. And if you're going to use three different addresses, you set up three separate GMB profiles. Just make sure that you can get mail at all three places. Um, And you also certainly want to check around that, you're on a directory, you're not listed two, three, four times for incorrect addresses. And those are something, again, that's part of a general audit. You definitely want to get rid of those. And there's a couple ways you can do that. I mean, if you set it up yourself, hopefully you still have the username and password. You go in and you correct it. There are services like Yext, which is YEXT, Bright Local is another one. White Spark is another one. There's a lot of kind of SaaS providers out there that can do this for you. And then certainly, if you work with a digital marketing agency, hopefully you're working with someone who specializes in legal marketing. They can certainly do that for you. Excuse me. So the next thing that we look at is properly setting your categories and your service pages. So this is kind of going back after the fact. So you've set up the basics. You have gone out and you've obtained all these directory links that send signals to Google that show that your name, address, and phone is consistent. Now let's go back to the GMB page, and we want to make sure that you selected the right category and that you've actually added services. And that's kind of an interesting piece because the categories, I mean, yes, there's a category for legal services. That might be the way to go, but within Google, a lot of that will be, there'll be a category for personal injury lawyer. There's usually a category for just about everything under the sun. There's about 4,000 categories. There's also the ability to make your own category. I can't emphasize this enough. Do not create your own subcategory. The reason we have categories already established in Google is people are actively searching for those types of categories. So if it's not already in existence, you creating it is basically Google telling you no one's searching for that specific niche. Don't do it. They'll let you do it, but it's just not the right way to go about it. Now, after you have your category, there's actually, when you look on your Google My Business dashboard, all the way down on the left-hand side, there's something that says services. That is different than categories. So services, if I'm let's stick with a bankruptcy lawyer. If I'm a bankruptcy lawyer, I offer Chapter 13 reorganizations. I offer Chapter 7 liquidations. I offer Chapter 11 corporate reorganizations. I might offer debt settlement services. I might offer tax lien stripping. All of these different, financial debt relief type of services. And what I want to do with those is I want to create a small service piece. And why this is different is you actually can add up to 300 characters of a description of the service. Category is just that. It's just a category. There's nothing you can do with it. In addition to those 300 words, and you don't have to put a price in, don't worry about that. It asks you for it, but you can leave that blank. You can also upload photos about those specific areas, and you can geotag those photos, which means that if you know how embed metadata into your photo, you can include the latitude and the longitude. You can include, maybe it's, what I would typically do is I wouldn't put my office, I would put the courthouse where you work. Or maybe you want to put the neighborhood, put the neighborhood name inside the metadata. For example, if I'm in Boston and maybe I'm in the North End, maybe I'm in the Back Bay, maybe I'm working in Cambridge, wherever it might be, you want to put that information in, and you want to optimize your photos with proper file names. And we have a whole podcast episode just on how to do basic photo optimization. So I strongly recommend you check that out if you haven't seen it already and you don't know how to do that. But these are some of the things that they'll send those signals to Google where you're ranking, you're showing up, but it will maybe put you, move it just a little bit more. If you're in that 4 or 5 spot and you need to get in that top 3, sometimes that's enough to put you over the edge. So, if you found all of this helpful, I'd love to talk to you more. We always do offer free lead flow acceleration session with lawyers where we'll look at basically an analysis of your online visibility. We take a look at what keywords you're going after, and we actually suggest to you, we tell you what some of the best keywords are in your specific area. Because honestly, if you're in Los Angeles versus if you're in Boston versus Chicago versus Miami and anywhere else in between, or especially if you're in a smaller town, those keywords are going to differ even within the same legal practice. We will actually help you put together a ranking report so you can see where you rank both for search engine optimization in terms of organic as well as where you rank on the map, because those are two completely different ranking systems. We'll do an analysis of the online directories, your NAP, as we talked about. We'll do an analysis of your online reviews. Are you responding? What kind of reviews you have? Do you have enough reviews? Even give you some suggestions if you don't have a ton of reviews of things you can do to actually help you generate more reviews. I know in the legal practice it's a little bit more difficult because of all the work product, all the privilege, and all of that. But there are ways that you can go about doing it. We will do an analysis of your social presence. Are you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the whole deal? We take a look at your website and let you know, this is great. You're sending people to the site, you're ranking well, but is your site set up to convert searchers into actual leads and from leads into paying clients? So if you'd like to talk about this, certainly check out our website at legalmarketingstrategy.com, or you can always just give us a call at 339-645-9461. Again, this is attorney Michael Goldstein. This is the Legal Marketing Strategy Pros podcast, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. All righty. Bye-bye.